A new season of Succession is on TV right now, but it's a bit different. The fossil that is Rupert Murdoch is currently in a tense battle with his own family over the future of his media empire. He wants to give his media empire, which includes News Corp and Fox News, to his son Lachlan. But there's an issue. His other siblings don't want that to happen whatsoever. Therefore, Rupert Murdoch is undergoing a legal challenge to ensure that his successor after his death is Lachlan. According to the Wall Street Journal, Murdoch is arguing that shifting control of the trust to Lachlan should be allowed because it is in the best interest of all the beneficiaries, including his other children. Yet his other children all have ideas about how the media empire should be run, so naturally it's caused a few arguments at the family dinner table.
I am surrounded by snakes and fucking morons! You're a bunch of silk-stocking fucks!
What we have here is a family that's divided over the future of one of the world's most influential news organisations. And you know what? It's getting a bit spicy.
And Rupert Murdoch named this Project Harmony?
That's as we understand it. It was named Project Harmony. The argument being that right now it's set up for these four to hash it out amongst themselves. And apparently Rupert sees that as a recipe for ongoing fights between the siblings. This is, again, they appear to be arguing these court papers potentially bad for the trust and the companies that it manages or that it oversees. So he thought maybe this would be harmonious, that it'll be answered. There's one person in charge, it's Lachlan, nothing to fight about. Well, it didn't really work out that way, as now they are locked in a court battle in Nevada over this trust.
And the next owner could have a massive ramifications for the state of the American news industry, but also the global news industry as well. It's that important. So in case you don't know who Rupert Murdoch is, here's a quickish rundown for you. He's an Australian businessman who's rose to media tyrannical power. He got his big break when he inherited News Limited in Australia, before he then expanded his news operations in the US and around Europe. In the 1960s, he brought the News of the World and the Sun in the UK, and he quickly transformed both papers into selling scandals, tabloids, lying, victim blaming, phone hacking, and whatever the hell this is supposed to be. He also set up Fox News, which is a massive news organisation in the US. It's got a massive influence in the US, it's got a right-wing agenda, it loves Donald Trump, and it's got a massive say in US politics. It's so big that Donald Trump even calls up Fox News and has his own long rambling rants on air.
They made it that you have to get 60-70% of the vote just to get in. And you know what? President. In the end, the Democrats did the same thing to Joe Biden. They threw Joe Biden out of the party.
And that's why we saw a different night tonight.
Mr. President, thank you so much for the time. We appreciate that live feedback.
He also owns the New York Post, Wall Street Journal, and something called the Hades Gazette, which is a thriving publication in hell. So in a quick summary, Rupert Murdoch is responsible for the evil and tabloid journalism that happens not just in the UK, but around the world, and has damaged the journalism industry and also caused journalists not be trusted by the public.
Are we the baddies?
Rupert Murdoch also has 6 children and has been married 5 times. That's a lot of divorce settlements. So after a few divorce settlements, Rupert Murdoch has definitely learnt his lesson and he wants to protect the future of his business. So what's he do? So in 1999 he set up the Murdoch Family Trust, which owns the businesses under his media empire and gives equal say to his children. The family get 8 votes, so obviously Rupert gets 4 and his other children all get 1 vote each. But this is massively fallen apart because all of his children all have different political views. They disagree about the future of Fox News and his media businesses and how they supported Donald Trump. According to various reports, Rupert Murdoch stepped down as Fox and News Corp chairman in favour of Lachlan, who reportedly shares the same right-wing views as his father. This has led to James, Prudence and Elizabeth all united together and fighting back against the evil empire.
I love you, but you are not serious people.
So this is what sparked a private court case which is being held in a courthouse in Reno in Nevada. Now, ironically, there's no media access to it and it's all being held behind closed doors. You think for a media empire, you'd want it to be transparent, but this is Rupert Murdoch we're talking about. So who are his 4 children and why can't they stop bickering with each other? Well, so the eldest boy is a guy called Lachlan. At 100 years old, Daddy Murdoch wants to keep his empire within the family and Lachlan is chosen to be his successor. He's basically the clone of Rupert Murdoch and basically agrees with everything he says. He largely spent his career in Australia managing his father's businesses. In 2005, he left the business after a bust-up over Fox News. He went away and set up an Australian investment firm and backed media and marketing companies and even an Indian Premier League cricket team. but he largely made losses. Lachlan returned to News Corp in 2014 and later joined brother James as co-chairman of film studio 21st Century Fox. It's fair to say that Lachlan has a complicated relationship with Donald Trump, but because of Fox News and how it stands in the media empire, they have to back him. There are also allegations that Lachlan was responsible for the Fox News decision not to broadcast live congressional hearings into the Capitol riot. Then there's James. James Murdoch is the other big name in the media empire. He rose to become chairman of BCIB and then got implicated in a UK phone hacking scandal. Basically, there was evidence of phone hacking for celebrities, famous figures, politicians, dead people, London bombing victims, and even a dead teenage girl. James is also remembered in the UK because he appeared in a phone hacking committee meeting in Parliament and also watched his father get cream pied.
Can you just tell me whether or not the Taylor settlement included a confidentiality clause, and maybe the other settlement did not?
Also, looking back at this footage, it's quite surreal, especially when you watch Rupert Murdoch's wife at the time, Wendy, go up to the guy and slap him on the head, and then repulsively threw the plate at him. You go, girl. You protect that inheritance. Following a damning committee report and investigations into his own conduct, Murdoch resigned as chairman of BCIB in April 2012. He was severely criticised in a parliamentary report which showed he showed willful ignorance of the extent of phone hacking, and added he was guilty of an astonishing lack of curiosity over use in the company. So basically it's saying he was sort of aware that phone hacking was a thing in the company, but he never inquired further or knew that maybe it was illegal and maybe there's more ramifications to hacking the phones of their people. I digress. A damning report from Ofcom also shared that he repeatedly fell short of the conduct to be expected of him as the chief executive and chairman.
What the fuck are you doing?
In a clear case of nepotism, he managed to get back into the company, but years later in 2020, he resigned. This was largely because he was unhappy about the climate change denial in the Australian newspapers. So they're the two main players, but it's quite interesting reading up what other people think of them. Murdoch biographer Michael Wolff was also quite scathing about them. He said, and I quote, "I think they both really believed they were put on earth to show up their father, rather than the reality, which is that they would be mid-level media executives making $250,000 a year and grateful for it without their old man." Then we go on to the two other children. So Elizabeth's the interesting one. She's the oldest Murdoch child, and at first was thought to be like the heir to the throne, but instead she's again just done her own thing. Thanks to a big fat loan from her dad, she bought 2 Californian TV stations and then sold them on for profit. She then became the general manager of BCIB, but then grew frustrated years after because of the lack of career progress she was making in her own business, which is a bit funny really. You know, you get given a massive job, yet you can't really progress or do your own thing with it. It's nepotism with the stabilisers on. So in the 2000s, she set up her own production company called Shine. And I never knew this, but she brought dozens of dramas to Channel 4, ITV and the BBC, including Ashes to Ashes and MasterChef, which she is an executive producer.
Brilliant! Yay!
But years later, she managed to sell the business to News Corp for more than $600 million. What? So in the last 10 years, she left the TV business, but instead is now just doing charity work and just donating things to like upcoming businesses and investing in media companies. So yeah, she's basically out of the family firm and she's just doing her own thing. Fair enough. Prudence is the one who's not really that bothered about the media business and just wants to do her own thing. Although saying that she was a journalist at the News of the World and later a board member of the Times for 12 years. She's not really that bothered about the family business, but instead donates millions to charity to the Murdoch Ventures in Australia to support up-and-coming businesses. So basically, she's a charity woman. So if you want to keep the Succession references going, I guess you could say that Kendall was sort of Lachlan because it thinks it's his birthright to be the successor.
It doesn't even make any sense! I'm the eldest boy! I am the eldest boy! You're not. And you know,
Roman is probably James because he also got implicated in his own scandal and he's trying to make a name for himself, but he also doesn't know what he's doing. Then you've got Elizabeth, who's definitely Shiv.
Come on, stop screwing around. I want to talk about you properly. Come in. I'm tired of this.
You have potential. I've always thought you were the smartest.
Oh, so that's why you tried Kendall and Roman first.
And then you got Prudence, who's basically Connor Roy, who basically does her own stuff and no one really cares what she does. But she's just there.
I'm the eldest son.
What was that?
I am the eldest son.
Well, yeah, obviously, Con, but you know what he means.
I am the eldest son! And no one told me about this fucking merger of fucking equals, and what if I want to take over because I am the eldest son?
All right. Easy, Con.
I'm the eldest son.
Okay.
I'm the eldest son.
Whoa.
And I must be considered, and I need to be taken into account.
James, Prudence, Elizabeth are all quite moderate and more centre-right-ish, I guess, whereas Lachlan is basically right-wing. So you can sort of see that this is an issue. So if Lachlan stays, it's the status quo, where basically everything is normal. But if Lachlan can't be the successor, then who actually owns the company?
I'm in charge now. I speak for this family. I mean, I could if you wanted me to. I'd rather not, obviously. Don't know what I'd say. Why do I have to be the one? I don't need this. Why does this have to become my problem? No, I'm out. Forget it. Find somebody else. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of doing everything for this family.
It would probably be one of James or Elizabeth, but probably James because he knows the business and he probably has his own say about stuff. So that could mean that Fox News reins it in a bit, and also all the newspapers and outlets they own across the world also get a bit more moderate, bit more centre, bit more, not liberal, but not as batshit crazy. Now, we don't know when a decision is going to be made, but basically the judge could make the decision in the coming weeks or coming months. But we'll only really know about it when a press release comes out and then gets fed to the media, or you probably read about it on the Press Gazette or whatever US outlet you read. So it's a pretty big deal, this case. It's also in the hands of a commissioner who sort of knows the case, and he's got a massive say about what's going to happen, and massive influence over the influence and power and future of the Murdoch empire. It's crazy when you think about it and put it that way. So what's going to happen? Well, if I was a betting man, I think that Murdoch's probably going to win the legal challenge, and it's going to be status quo for the time being, well, for another generation. So the kids will probably lose, but I think it'll be quite interesting if James, Prudence and Elizabeth all won, and what they would actually do to the company. It also have like massive implications about the future of like Fox News and News Corp and the value of it as well. It could spark possible job losses, who knows, but also it could see Fox News anchors jumping ship and doing their own thing. So some of the bigwigs could do what Tucker Carlson's done and basically going around Russia pretending to be a journalist or something mental, or set up their own YouTube channel or something, or even their own news network. They can do something like American Right Television, or celebrating USA's news television network or something. I don't know. Please leave your names in the comments below, because I'll generally love to hear them. So at the time of recording, the media empire is worth about £20 billion, which is quite a lot of money. And it's also showing like the influence it has over not just US politics, but European and international politics. And also what voters think. It's got massive say-so, and it'll be interesting to see what happens next. So what do you think that's going to happen in this case? Please drop them in the comments below. And if you did like this video, please drop me a like, and please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Now, if you're still here as my rambling rant, you're probably going to notice a few things. One, there's a load of boxes around here because I'm moving. Do we need this? We do. Now that's going to affect the output of this channel for the next few weeks, because we're going to move in the next month or so. So we've got loads of stuff to do. We've got more boxes to do and pack up and all that. So output on this channel is probably going to be a bit slow. The other thing is I've got a cold, so sorry if I sound really nasally. I did not want to have a cold and I absolutely hate it, but we move. The other thing is I've got a Patreon page which I've set up, and at the time of recording I'm slowly uploading a load of videos on my Patreon ad-free, so you can basically scroll through them and watch my whole entire library of videos that I worked many hours on for free. Well, not for free, ad-free, but you can just pay £2.50 a month or whatever I set it at. So join that page, really would appreciate it. So the Patreon page is going to have all my videos there, some behind the scenes looks, some interactions with me. I'll probably set up a chat room or something when more than one person joins it. And yeah, and also I'll probably do a thing where if you are a patron, I'll probably put it on the screen as the credits roll or something on my next videos or something. So yeah, so that's all for me. Take care for now, and I hope to see you again here soon.